could we be just a few years away from reenacting Harry Potter and have our own personal invisibility cloaks? Quite possibly. In 1968, a Russian engineer by the name of Victor Vasilego proposed a groundbreaking idea that changed everything that we thought we understood about optics, and even proposed the idea of exotic new materials and invisibility cloaks. But none of these strange new materials were found, and so even in his words, his work was seen as a joke. So I'd like you to think about the normal transparent materials that we see every day, like water. Let's say you're in a swimming pool, just swimming above the surface, and you want to pick up an object that's just in front of you underwater. You might have noticed that it's really quite difficult sometimes to get that angle right, and that's because the light from that ball underwater, or whatever object it is, reaches the surface and is then bent towards your eye. This tricks your brain into thinking that the ball's a lot further ahead than it actually is. But notice that the light is never bent backwards horizontally, because this would be really weird. This would be like that same ball looking like it's behind you, or even seeing your own body submerged underwater stretch out in front of you. Yet this is exactly the kind of weird property that Vasilego was proposing. And for 30 long years, none of these strange materials that bent light in this way were found. But in the last decade, technology is starting to catch up, and Vasilego's work was finally validated. So, unlike a normal material, which you might say is just a chunk of atoms, maybe semi-randomly arranged in this kind of a way, they're quite uniform across it though. What about if we could structure the atoms in such a way as to form patterns such as rings, circles, or even, or even little shapes like this? We could choose the shapes exactly how we want, and then interfere the light exactly how we want to make it go in exactly the direction we want to do. So, when I'm building my invisibility cloak, what I want to do is design my metamaterials to funnel the incoming light in, guide it around the cloak itself, and then release it on the other side in exactly the same direction that it went in, thus rendering it invisible. This is really difficult, because you really need those thin metamaterials that guide the light without losing anything. But it turns out that this control of light and the way we use it is really helpful in lots of other applications. For example, making a pacemaker that shields itself from magnetic fields, or even designing a truly earthquake-proof building that guides shockwaves around it, saving the people inside. So keep your eyes peeled for some truly world-changing technology, maybe even an invisibility.